When you worked at Drama Fever, you used a variety of open source tools to manage that internet TV platform. How did you find those tools?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. That makes me think of what my current boss at Pivotal, Andrew Clay Schaefer, says, which is that tech is mostly tribalism and fashion, which is to say, I think we gravitate towards tools we've used before, and also tools recommended by people that we trust. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't make infrastructure decisions based on like the front page of Hacker News. So trying to make a decision like, say, Docker in production is a research, reading, and trying to figure out if it'll meet your needs, but also looking to see who else is doing that. Sometimes you're going to be the first person doing it, and or one of the first, and that's okay. But it does take a certain amount of, I don't know, gumption.
Sure.
I can say that. It wasn't me who made that call. That was before I joined Drama Fever.
Do you feel like we're at a point where those types of tools and perhaps even those types of recommendations, kind of the hive mind that's out there, does that allow smaller teams to now compete against larger incumbents that are trying to work on the same types of things?
It's an interesting question because I think there's a difference between what a small team can achieve because they're nimble, because they're more agile, if you will, small A agile, not the kind with stand-ups. I mean, you can do that too. And just don't have a huge amount of bureaucracy to overcome or silos to overcome in order to move effectively. But at the same time, I mean, large teams certainly do have a lot of people to throw at problems.
Sure.
So I'm not sure that there's an either or there. I do think that the tooling definitely does have a democratizing effect in that there's some really high quality open source stuff out there in the ecosystem, in the wider, containerized platform, whatever ecosystem, that can make it a lot easier for small teams, like we were a 5-person ops team at Drama Fever, to, run a basically television network.
What do you see happening with containerized infrastructures over the next couple of years?
I think that it's interesting because it's not that containers are new. I mean, obviously, FreeBSD, Chroot jails, or Solaris zones have been around and have been used in production for production workloads for a long time. But people are, I think, finally getting to the point where Linux containers, thanks to projects like Docker, have been made accessible enough that most people can fathom actually using them. So I think we're going to see a lot more people using containers in production, whether it's in something that they artisanally handcraft themselves, like we did at Drama Fever, or in something that they get from, a vendor, partner, whatever, and they might not even realize at some point that they're using containers. But if something is built on, Kubernetes or Mesos or Cloud Foundry or whatever, they will be using containers.
This is a little bit of a diversion here, but what is the single biggest technical issue or problem you're running into right now?
Probably, for me personally, would be that I have right now a laptop with 8 gig of RAM, and when I try to stand up Cloud Foundry locally, I have to quit literally every other application but Terminal. So, that's kind of a silly answer, but
it's legit.
Like, I honestly can't run the demos I need to run until I get the new laptop that's waiting for me at the New York office. I'm going to go by there Thursday. So that's probably, it's kind of silly. But
that's a shared one.
I know, right?
Yes,
but
I feel your pain.
But a more serious answer would be just trying to wrap, since I'm in a new role at a new organization, trying to wrap my head around the technology and then turn around and make it more accessible to people like me, maybe with a long ops background, who don't necessarily understand why they care, why they would be interested in this. And, it's not my job to sell anyone anything. In fact, the project that I'm working with is open source, but it is my job to help people understand it. And so probably the biggest technical problem for me is just diving in and understanding a very complex platform.
This is related to that other question. What was the single biggest technical issue you were running into 5 years ago, and how did it get resolved? Could be the RAM. Could still be the RAM, right?
It was not RAM. It was actually storage. It was IOPS. So 5 years ago, it was 2010, I was running infrastructure operations at the University of Minnesota Supercomputing Institute. And getting storage vendors to be forthright with us about how many IOPS we were actually going to be getting if we purchased, their storage solution, and then running things through benchmark and test suites to see whether or not they could support the HPC workloads that we wanted to throw against them was a significant problem. I don't miss those procurement meetings. I love public cloud.
Is that how it got resolved? Moved to the
That's
public
not
cloud?
how they resolved it. We went in 2010, we went through a lot of procurement meetings and eventually got some storage that more or less met our needs. But I'm saying that these days, if you need more storage, it's a lot faster to get it.
Right. Last question for you. What people or projects are you following these days?
I think that there's a lot of fascinating people out there I follow on Twitter specifically. One I would probably call out is Kelsey Hightower, is always doing and talking about interesting things, whether it's, Kubernetes. He's obviously famous for doing a lot of work with. He's been talking about Mesos a lot lately. He even said he was going to stand up Cloud Foundry. And this stuff in the kind of structured platform to roll your own ecosystem is an area of great interest for me. So I'm definitely tracking what he has to say pretty closely. And even before I worked for him, I would always read the mysterious subtweets of Andrew Clay Schaefer. Just generally, I think I actually follow and listen to a lot of people who end up appearing on some good podcasts. So I would say if people are looking for stuff of interest, the Cloudcast, Software Defined Talk, O'Reilly Radar actually has some good stuff.
I didn't ask you to say that.
You did not ask me to say that. I do listen to it from time to time. And I like to think we get good guests on Arrested DevOps. So I would say podcasts are a nice way to get new perspectives and get, maybe commute-sized piece of information without any large-scale time commitments.
Great.
And you don't have to listen to every episode of every show. I certainly don't.
Well, thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Welcome.